Jones wins. Doug Jones wins. Doug Jones won the Alabama special election for the Senate. Amazing. 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 Absolutely amazing. And how about, I mean, I have to admit I'm shocked. I mean, I didn't think it was going to happen. I did not think it was going to happen. I just have to honestly say, I had mentally, as Jack Bauer, hey Jack Bauer comments, Doug, Doug, ah! I mentally prepared for this not to happen. And I was struggling with how to think about this from a religious standpoint. In other words, it said that the evangelicals are behind Roy Moore, Judge Roy Moore, right? And so you think, okay, they say they've got God on their side. And Doug Jones and the Democrats say, hey, we just want to use the government to help people live better lives. And then Roy Moore has this big fat issue over his head with how many women? 8? A large number of women, claiming that in the past he pursued them when they were 14 years old. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind around that. This guy is 32 and he's basically chasing kids. Okay, I'm like, and when I say having a hard time wrapping my mind around it, I really am. That's an honest statement. It's not. I'm not saying I haven't heard of that before. No, but do you honestly think somebody would be that stupid to want to do that if you want to have somebody that's, I mean, what is wrong with him that he can't just go after, hey, you know, maybe a 22-year-older, right? Okay, but geez Louise, that's why I say I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around that. I really am. Why mess up your life like that? But then I'm thinking, okay, it happened a long time ago, and you forgive. Well, God helps those who help themselves, and it's this saying about the sinner, he who hath sinned not cast the first stone, something like that, right? And that, you know, and so I'm thinking, are we right to damn him to this degree? Is that the message if he wins? That was what was going through my head, you know? So he didn't win, which means, yeah, we were right to damn him to this degree. Oh, thank God. That was really my concern. It really was. It's like, wow. Yeah, wow. I don't know what you guys were thinking. Joseph Bensman says, glory, glory, hallelujah. What a good night. We needed this. Congratulations to the 49th Senator, Doug Jones. I could not have said it better myself. I really couldn't have. And I had to talk about this rather than the common sports stuff because it's too important not to. And it's just too important not to. And they're probably, I don't know if anybody's got their notification. Joseph Bensman, did you get your notification? He says Republicans might have to kiss their tax cut goodbye. I think what's going to happen, I do agree with the observations that there's going to be a rush to push this thing out there, okay, and get it passed. But I don't think they're going to just drop it. But there will be a push to make it more sympathetic to those Democrats who opposed it. And exactly how, well, I would think that a lot of those healthcare adjustment provisions will come out. You know what I mean? So Yeah, I think that's the change there. That's the change we would see. Uh, I but I do agree with the idea that there will be a rush to get this in because you just don't know. I mean, you look, there'll be a rush to get it in because by the time Judge Jones is seated, it's not Judge Jones, Doug Jones is seated, excuse me. That will be a few months from now, and then of course we'll have 2018 election, and it'll pretty much obvious that the makeup of the Senate will change more favorably to Democrats, and you're not going to get this kind of chance to pass a tax bill ever again. In fact, if they pass it, I think there's a total guarantee that Democrats will just simply come back and modify it yet again after the 2018 election. That's sticking right out there. It really is. That's sticking right out there. So, but wow, Doug Jones won. I mean, how cool is that? Doug Jones wins Alabama Senate race over Roy Moore. Let's talk about this election. And that's what I'm doing. I'm talking about it. I'm putting it out there for others to chime in. I want to know your thoughts. Do you think this means the end? Is this the beginning of the end of the Trump administration? That's the question. The question of the day is this the beginning of the end of the Trump administration? What does this mean for the Trump administration moving forward? What does this mean for the Republican Party moving forward? What does it mean for Democrats moving forward? Because I contend it means a great deal. This is a bigger deal than the special election we had in District 6 here earlier this year, where that Jon Ossoff lost, okay? Well, I believe it was in October here. August, excuse me, not October. It's bigger than that, much bigger. So, but what does it mean to you? What's your crystal ball say? And mine says that, I'll tell you what mine says. First of all, it says that we can't gloat because of the margin of victory. And I'm not saying that the margin of victory is so tight that it allows for a recount. No, it doesn't. But I'm saying that it points to a clear culture war of differences in how our country should be governed and directed. That's sticking out there, loud and clear. That's what that says. That's what that says. Joseph Binsman says he had a comment here that I wanted to get, which I don't get. If you could repost that, Mr. Binsman, that would be fantastic. No, here it is. It says, tonight is showing karma is headed toward Republicans. 2018 is going to be a huge shift of a year. Tonight, the turnout was key. When we Democrats turn out, we don't lose. That's right. And I couldn't have said it any better. Blacks turned out in large numbers for this election, historically large numbers for this election, for it to come out the way that they did. They turned out in cities like historic Selma, Alabama. They turned out in cities like Montgomery, Alabama. We turned out in everywhere we were there. The blue wave is real, as Crawford 371 has just noted. The blue wave is real. It really is. How many of those who voted, however, were crossover Republicans who were, if you can do that sort of thing, with write-in people? You know, the crossovers. Was it 22,000? Was that it? That's a big deal. That's a big deal. It's a huge deal. But I can't get out of my mind the fact that only about 21,000 more voted for Doug Jones than Roy Moore. And so I keep thinking, what would it what would it have said if Roy Moore won? Because there's a large number of people that are on the outside looking in. You should have seen the CNN telecast of Roy Moore's room. It was so quiet you could have dropped a pin, and the looks on their faces were like, okay, we've been had. Yeah, that's what it looked like. Like, we've been had. We expected something here. And they didn't get it. They didn't get it. They're also not going to get that recount. There's no way anyone bothers to pay for that recount for Roy Moore. That's not happening. He was a bad candidate. Bad candidate made to look good by a power-hungry grand old party. Let's just say absolute power corrupts absolutely. There are people willing to do anything, quite literally go to bed with anyone. They went to bed with Roy Moore just to maintain power. That's what I took away from this. They wanted that number, that advantage so bad that they were willing to put up with Roy Moore and his antics and accusations just to gain an edge. Wow. That's mine. I mean, I've seen it before, but it doesn't matter how many times I see it, I'm reminded of how power for some drives their participation in politics. It doesn't matter how many times I see that, I'm consistently amazed by that fact. I am consistently amazed by that fact. Consistently amazed by that. Hey everybody, welcome to Zenny62. I want to hear your view. Write in the comments what you think about this election. Pro or con. You don't have to be for Doug Jones. You could have been for Roy Moore. You could be an interested observer. What do you think? Because if you were disinterested, you would not be here. You would not be here. What do you think? Type your comments right here, and I'll read them online. I've got a nice little filter, so I've been capable of reading the sensible ones. And we have Donald Richardson. Donald says, congrats to American decency. Just as Jeff Flake tweeted, decency wins. That's how you put it. Decency wins. So I know the old line Republicans, the ones that of the type that I grew up with, they're smiling. They're smiling. Decency wins. You know, no way, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Decency wins. But having said that, does this mean the death of the Democratic Party? Excuse me. Speaking of the Democratic Party, I have to give a shout out to my friend Joe Trippi, who was Doug Jones' campaign manager and won. And Joe Trippi is a longtime Democratic political consultant. We are Facebook friends, going all the way. We're acquainted with each other, going all the way back to the Obama years. Now, Dex says Trump is a one-term president. If he makes it, then he gets impeached. Yeah, if he doesn't get impeached earlier. Okay. Joseph Binsman says it's really a shame. 100,000 more combined. 100,000 more combined voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania couldn't turn out for Hillary last year, but tonight is the beginning of redemption in America. Morals exist. And Donald Richardson says, did you hear Charles Barkley? That was the first time I applauded him. Yeah, and Donald Richardson, and the Charles Barkley interview is on Zenny62, by the way. Crawford says that Roy Moore and his friend story that they went to a brothel accidentally is equivalent to a kid saying to the teacher that the dog ate their homework. Decency is victorious. Wiggle Babies, haven't seen you in a while. Wiggle Babies writes, if the Dems run the same corporate talking head, they'll probably lose again, though. Explain that, Wiggle Babies. Wiggle Babies says, you got to go with FDR style. And explain that. Dexman says that Charles Barkley was great. I could not agree more. Uh, I could not agree more. Barkley didn't mention Trump. Stop taking black folks for granted. Yeah, he didn't. And people forget, if they ever knew, Charles Barkley is a friend of Donald Trump. He does not hate Donald Trump. I don't hate Donald Trump, but I don't like how Donald Trump is conducting himself as president. Neither does Mr. Barkley. Now, Crawford says, Charles said that this is a wake-up call for the Democratic Party. It is. Joseph Bensman says, Charles was great tonight. He is so right. And he was speaking to the way Bernie Sanders is trying to shift the party. 2016 proved leading from the center is over. Progressive left is the way. I disagree with that. I think the leading from the center always is the great thing to do. But see, my center is probably different from your center. And a lot of what I identify as my center, you would say is progressive. So I'm going to have a feeling that we're probably saying the same thing, only different, because we're both Democrats. But I believe in the maintenance of a policy that can be recognized by some as slightly conservative. And Donald Richardson says, I can't wait to get to the water cooler tomorrow to hear what my Republican coworkers have to say. This is going to be epic. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You identify yourself as a progressive. I'm a liberal. I don't like the term progressive because I felt that the term progressive emerged as in such a way that liberal was used as a pejorative term. Like, oh, you're a liberal. Or it was used to describe people who were wealthier or perceived as wealthy and white and were elitist. But interestingly, I've come to view progressives that way. Funny how that works, isn't it? And that has to do with years of living in the Bay Area under progressive labels after being quite accustomed to the liberal label. Dexman says, black folks are finally waking up. Vote Bernie, not Hillary. Wiggle Baby says, Dems need to have the strong economic message. Progressive is not like liberal. Most liberal politicians today are neoliberal. Yeah, that's true. And I'll give you an example. Steve Sisolak, the great Clark County commissioner, is very much in that cloth. He believes in a jobs-driven economy, making sure that great, well-paying jobs for low-skilled workers, his base there in Clark County and Las Vegas, he wants to make absolutely certain they have jobs, which is why he's pushed this UNLV really stadium, I think Raiders are going to get cut out of it, so hard, okay? Rogues of the Night says, Wriggle Babies calls himself progressive. Rogues of the Night writes, no more Hillary Clintons as candidates and we can't lose. And Dexman says yes. Okay, and Wiggle Baby says, I want economic policy driven. Let me rephrase that. Dexman says that he wants, economic policy driven candidates, progressives like Bernie Sanders, and says we just don't have a lot of liberals that do that. Yeah, I wonder about that, because to me, a liberal is business savvy and business oriented and yet understands the need for proper taxation, which leads to resource transfer, wealth transfer, to help make the lives of those who have less better. But you have to have healthy businesses to do that. So it means you're not jacking up the minimum wage so high that the business can't afford it, and it means you have subsidies to help the businesses pay higher wages. That's what I'm talking about. That's a liberal agenda to me. It doesn't sound like a progressive agenda because progressives, in my history, don't really talk that way. So Joseph Bensman says he and his father are liberals who are very progressive. Ding. They believe in the same democratic socialist values Bernie does, and we believe the way the Democratic Party has to head forward. This is interesting. This is Joseph Bensman's comment right here. See, this is right there, okay? Read it. Joseph Bensman asks, so you're not for $15 minimum wage, Zenny? Well, that's not what I'm saying, okay? No, that's not it. What I'm for is a business subsidy policy that allows businesses to be able to pay those wages, because I see a number of people that I know who have businesses in Oakland who are having a hard time meeting that $15 threshold, because what happens is you have to think about what it means to pay that much money. If you are in, and most likely today you are in a service business job or service business industry category as a business owner, it means that you have to jack up your prices. If those are food prices, it means that you have to figure out ways to be more competitive in your pricing or cut corners someplace else. And then you do that, as was the case in 2014, but then what happened between 2014, 15, 16, and 17? The rents went up sky high in Oakland. Adams Point, average rent was what, $2,400 a month? So for a one-bedroom apartment without a dishwasher, all right? So suddenly I have friends telling me that either they or their other friends are saying, okay, my employees are coming to me and saying, you know what, excuse me, I need more than $15 an hour or I can't fill this job. So the number of jobs that go unfilled. Because the employee needs more money than the $15 an hour that person is going to pay him. So you try to push that up, and what happens is that you wind up paying out so much in labor costs, you go out of business. And that's why you need a subsidy. If you're going to have that, have it in designated areas of the city, subsidize those areas so you can have tax increment financing to fuel that, right? And move forward. But the way it's going right now, it's not serving the interests of business to keep them in large numbers a going concern. We have too many businesses failing in Oakland. Small mom and pop stores failing. And someone else thinks, well, that just leaves room for a chain. But, you know, that's not what you want. You want people to have capacity to start their own businesses, to make their own money. All right. So, John Rich says, you're speaking facts, Zenny. He says, I'm not trying to hijack the topic. I just want to say rest in peace, Ed Lee. He was a friend of mine too, Donald Richardson, who I met by way of Fred Lau, who is a mentor of mine. I feel that I was blessed to have known you. Yeah, I completely agree, Donald, and it's not hijacking it. It's the... let me get to that in a second. Joseph Bensman says, one thing is for sure, Americans are so due for a wage increase across the board, not just a higher minimum wage. Yep. And I completely agree. Desmond says the cost of living is high in Seattle. And Joseph Bensman says, definitely hope Ed Lee was loving tonight's results from heaven. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. And like I said, Ed Lee was my friend and a client in 1992, and a person who was always unfailingly nice and always responsive to my questions as a media person, my needs as his consultant, and my desire to say hello and just chew the fat as a friend. And that's, you know, really all you can ask for from anyone in life. Hey, we're up to 20. Welcome to Zenny 62, everybody. We are talking politics. Yes, we're talking politics. Ta-da! And if you're on Twitter, tweet it out. What do you think of the Donald Trump administration moving forward? On a scale of 1 to 10, here's an easy question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being toast, 10 being successful, where do you rate the Trump administration right now? I'll rate it. Desmond says, I can't read that. Is that a 1? Oh, 1? 1. Big April says 6. I'm going to give him a 4 myself. So you have a 1, a 6, a 4. Oracles of the Night says Donald Trump is going to get blown out in 2020. Donald Richardson says burnt toast. He ain't just toast, he's burnt toast. Wiggle Baby says Trump is pretty bad, but he is a lot of the same stuff we've been doing for a while. So I don't know. A 2? Okay. So we got a 2, a 4 by me, a 6, and a 1. A 2, a 4, a 6, and a 1. Care to try for a 5? Because then we have 5, and then we 5, 4, 3. We have a series. Just wondering. So those of you out there who are watching, who haven't chimed in, what do you think? What say you? Okay. What say you? What say you? What say you? What say you? Just asking. I'm going to share this on Facebook page real quick. Share. There's the share. There's a whole lot of sharing. I hope there's a whole lot of sharing going on. I hope so. So this is not a whole lot of sharing going on, man. We ain't having it happen, right? And I'm thinking about that song Shakin'. Whole lot of shaking going on. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Yeah. Oh, baby. Whole lot of shaking going on. There it is. All right. Put that on my Facebook and on Twitter. And I've got to, hold on a second. Make sure that, oops, don't want to do that. I'm putting another link on Twitter. That's what I'm doing. Going over, hey everybody, welcome to Zenny62. There's now 21 of you. Welcome to Zenny62 tonight. What do you think of the win over Alabama Judge Roy Moore by civil rights attorney Doug Jones, a Democrat? What do you think about the win? Doug Jones. And then, looking forward to your thoughts. So, okay, going back to the page, we have, scrolling up, we have, Wiggle Baby says, I want Bernie's Medicare for All system. Friend in Canada loves his system, tells me all the time. Donald Richardson says, we are almost a year in and there are impeachment proceedings. Some of his former top aides are under house arrest for various reasons, yet not one major bill passed. Nope. And not at all. Joseph Benson says, 7 November 2018 is going to push the cowardly Republicans. Tonight was a lovely preview. Yeah, it was. It was a lovely preview. Unbelievably love. I was going to say unbelievable. Rick Ferrari. Baby. Where did I wit whack? Whack from UBU. Ruby-oo. Wooby-boo. You ever watch Scooby-Doo? Wooby-boo. That's what Doug Jones is doing right now. You know, his bedroom with his wife. He's so happy going, Ruby-roo. Woohoo. We so happy. Dee. We are happy. Joseph Benjamin says, I honestly might look into running for a congressional seat here in New Jersey. Embarrassingly, a Republican is in charge, and he would love to win. Thomas Beltran. He says he has done nothing but cause trouble in this country and around the world talking about Trump. So I would say his administration would get a 1. Wiggle Baby says, shocked that Alabama didn't go for more. Wiggle Baby says, I'll bet a lot of people stayed home and didn't vote. Beltran says the same thing twice. Okay. Wiggle Baby says, yeah, that a lot of people stayed at home. That's what Wiggle Baby's claims in this chat section. Okay. Yeah. Joseph Benjamin says, is that true, Wiggle Babies? And a lot of people turned out for Jones. Let me see something here. CNN breaking news. Let me see if I can go through this. Trying to get the results here. Alabama Senate. You know, this wording is a little weird because they're not talking about the Alabama Senate. We're talking about a U.S. Senate seat for Alabama. So it can be really confusing. If you are confused by that, just letting you know, we're really talking about the Alabama Senate seat for, you know, the United States Senate, not the Alabama Senate. All right? Okay. All right. All right. Here we go. We have precincts, Jones, 49.9. Here, you got to look at this. You got to look at this. You got to look at this. Jones, 49.9. But look at this. 672,236 votes for Jones. Moore, 48.4, or 652,300 votes. A mere separation filled in by write-ins. Look at this. 22,783 write-ins. So there you go. There's your look. There's your look. All right. Okay, folks, this has been a fascinating day. It's also been a sad day because I woke up to the news that my client and friend Ed Lee died, and I woke up to use the bathroom. It was, you know, left at 3 in the morning, 3:15, 3:23, and it was like 4:23, excuse me, and it popped up on Twitter. So I didn't go to sleep the rest of the time. I made a live stream, looked at the news, got up, tried to go back to sleep, didn't, wound up staying up, wound up sleeping during the middle of the day, then got up, ran some errands. So what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I'm going to do is go to bed, because I'm at that state where I'm just mumbling, and I've got in 30 minutes of time. Donald Richardson says we need to find out those red states that have Senate races that can be had and take them like the Koch brothers have been doing the last 20 years with the red state Dems. It's time to be ruthless now, but you need money. You need Koch brothers level money to be ruthless. And I remind everybody that some of our big donors were taken out in this wave of sexual harassment claims, like Harvey Weinstein. That's kind of the baby out with the bathwater. Who's going to come up and produce that kind of money for us Democrats? That's a question we have not. That is a question. That's a conversation we have not had. I'm just putting it out there, okay? I'm putting it out there. Rogues of the Night says Florida is up for grabs in 2020, and so is Texas. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so it is 12:45. I'm going to go to bed. Tomorrow I'll resume it. I'll get on earlier and we'll talk more about politics. Look, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have a Donald Rich says we're going to have the, when are we going to have the convention? Where would you like to have it? Send me an email, zenny@zenny62.com. Tell me where you would have it. What's your idea? What would the Zenny convention look like? What would I do at this convention? I have an idea, but I want to hear it from you guys. Let me know, okay? Okay? So, Joseph Bismuth says, Tom Perez and Keith Ellison are doing now their homework on vulnerable Republican areas. 2018 is going to be big. Can't wait. Trump will not win Florida in 2020. All right. All right, everybody. The convo. I guess that's what you mean. Let me know what you mean, convo. All right. Everyone. It's been a grand night. It's been an incredible night. Good night. Because I am mumbling. I'm exhausted. And we'll talk more about the Raiders tomorrow. I was credentialed, but obviously I am not at the NFL Fall Owners Meeting. However, we will talk about that too. Good night, everybody. I'll see you, and God bless the United States of America.